specifically about your interaction and what information you've been able to obtain about the group called Young Slime Life.
I've been able to obtain information on members, leadership, the way that they operate, crimes that they have committed, rivalries that they have, alliances that they have, ongoing issues that they have within the community, and things of that nature.
Now, I don't think this is going to come as any kind of a surprise to anybody, but Young Thug definitely is looking on with a little bit of frustration on the face, so to speak, while listening to some evidence from a Fulton County lieutenant. But, well, let me just do it this way. Here's the most relevant information as far as for what caught my ear. Now, of course, if you catch something that I didn't catch, feel free to drop that off down in the comment section below. But me personally, this is what caught my ear. So here's the information that they say they've obtained. They've got information like the members, the leadership, the alliances they've made, the crimes they've committed, the rivalries they have, the ongoing issues in the community. And she says that they've gotten all of this information and all of this evidence, well, through just that, through evidence that's been recovered and through in-person interviews.
And how have you been able to obtain that information?
Both between in-person interviews as well as evidence that's been recovered during investigations.
Pause right there. That definitely means somebody, related or unrelated to anything to do with YSL or anything else, 100% has been talking to police. Why can I say that? Baritone, why would you even bring that up? Well, for one, when you see the clip yourself, hopefully you'll reach the same conclusion. Because here's the 6-point criteria that the Atlanta Police Department uses to identify potential members of a gang or gang members. Apparently there's a difference. You live and you learn. But that 6-point criteria is self-admission, a reliable informant, a previously untested informant. I'm just kind of assuming that's like somebody whose word we weren't sure we could take about this situation, but after doing some research or doing some investigation, some of what they say may check out, so they'll use something like that. Continuing on, an individual that frequents a gang area, a person who's been arrested on multiple occasions in company of confirmed gangs, or one that simply hangs with gang members, does the signs, the hand signs, that kind of thing. So basically a person has to meet one or multiple of that 6-point criteria in order to be potentially considered a gang member.
During your time with the Atlanta Police Department, were you trained in the method and protocol of the Atlanta Police Department in determining whether or not an individual is either associated with or a member of a criminal street gang?
Sure. Each agency is pretty much going to have their own standard for what they use to identify a member. So the Atlanta Police Department uses a 6-point criteria that was developed in California years ago. The first point is going to be self-admission. The second is going to be a reliable informant identifying somebody as a member of a gang. The third would be an informant of previously untested reliability. Sorry.
For me.
It's going to be an informant of previously untested reliability, providing information that can be independently verified. The fourth is going to be an individual that resides or frequents in a particular gang's area where they adopt hand signs, clothing, style, their affect, things of that nature, and they are associates of known gang members or in the company of known gang members. The fifth is going to be that they are arrested on multiple occasions in the company of known gang members, with offenses that are going to be consistent with criminal street gang activity. And the sixth is going to be that if they don't really meet any of those, but they're frequently hanging out or associated with the members, they'll be identified as an associate. They need to meet one of those criteria by APD standards to be identified as a gang member.
Now, with that little part out of the way, there is a difference between being a gang member and being a criminal street gang. Because the next question that is asked is that 6-point criteria that's mentioned. Basically, the question is asked as, does that criteria qualify you to be considered a criminal street gang? That answer is a flat out no.
Is every group that adopts similar identifying factors considered by you or by the agencies that you've worked with criminal street gangs?
No, in order to be labeled or identified as a criminal street gang, you need to engage in criminal street gang activity. One of the offenses that's going to be enumerated or identified as criminal street gang activity per the statute, and you're going to have to do these offenses in furtherance of the gang.
Meeting any of that criteria for an individual does not mean that they participate or are involved in a criminal street gang. The reason why the terminology criminal street gang is so important is because it is one of the requirements for a RICO in the first place. So, as you can hear the lieutenant answer the question, no, that doesn't automatically, meeting that criteria that is, doesn't automatically make them a criminal street gang member. But meeting the criteria of what a criminal street gang is would.
A criminal street gang from a group or organization that maybe adopts the same lingo and colors, but isn't involved in criminal activity. Just a group of people hanging out together.
It's going to be the commission of the criminal gang activity. Once the criminal element is introduced and the crimes are introduced in furtherance of the gang, that's where it's going to identify them as a gang.
And how do you determine or identify a criminal street gang? How do you go about saying, yes, let me see, this group has this, this, and this, and therefore we believe that it's a criminal street gang?
A criminal street gang by law is going to be a group of 3 or more associated, whether formal or informal, with common identifiers, hand signs, symbols, speech, things of that nature. It's not limited to that, but and they're also going to engage in criminal activity that further the gang.
So yeah, that's just to kind of give you a rough idea of essentially where the video goes. But again, I would rather you guys take a look for yourselves also, if you haven't already, and let me know your thoughts, because I'm not going to be the one that tells you. The first thing that I hear or the first logic that I get is going to be right. So if anybody catches anything different that I didn't, feel free to drop those gems down in the comment section below.
Do you know what GGIA is?
I do.
What is GGIA?
That's going to be the Georgia Gang Investigators Association.
Do you attend conferences conducted by the Georgia Gang Investigators Association?
I do, and I'm also an instructor with the Georgia Gang Investigators Association.
But with that part out of the way, here's something that's relatively interesting, at least it is to me. Boosie wants to make a film about Young Thug, Gunna, and their YSL collective's RICO case that, well, as you know, currently still has Thug behind bars. Heavily into self-funded film productions these days, as Boosie is, he premiered his latest effort, Where's MJ, at Clark Atlanta University last week. And while there, he spoke with All Hip Hop about his next moves and expressed interest in telling the YSL story. "I'll document it. I'll shoot the film," he said. "Free all them boys. I don't want nobody in there." I mean, it's Boosie. What else do you expect? But he also advocated for YFN Lucci's release while talking to All Hip Hop, who's also in jail for RICO charges. A YSL member that was accused of trying to, well, off Lucci actually became the latest of the crew to take a plea deal. Yeah, the plea deal's kind of been flying out the door, so to speak. But YSL co-defendant Antonio Sumlin, who's also known as Obama, who allegedly sought permission from Thugger for a second attempt to, well, off Lucci while behind bars in March, not so much for him, but Gunna, Young Thug's brother Unfook, Slime Life Shawty, Lil Duke, and YSL co-founder Walter Murphy have all also taken plea deals, bringing the 28 defendants down to 22 ahead of the trial. Gotta wonder. It makes you think. But Gunna was sentenced to 5 years with 1 served in prison where he was being held since being arrested in May as part of the YSL indictment, and the remaining 4-year sentence will reportedly be quote-unquote suspended, and Gunna will serve the rest in the form of 500 hours of community service, which is exactly why a lot of people are still, pardon the horrible pun, gunning for Gunna. I couldn't come up with anything better. But let's just be real, put yourself in that situation. I'm not saying that everybody would sing, but It's more to it than meets the eye. It is definitely more to it. An Alford plea, look it up. It's not exactly what it seems, but I can neither cast judgment nor defense for any of the involved people because I ain't involved. But I do say, think before you speak, because that's always good advice, right? Right. Either way, let us know exactly what you guys make of all of this new information down in the comment section below. And of course, you already know why you're there. If you're enjoying what the boys are bringing you, make sure that you take just a couple of seconds of your time to smash that like button. We still own it. Smash that subscribe and be real gentle with that bell, because the bell is how you stay up to date with the latest and greatest at the highest form of efficiency. And we all like being efficient, right? Right. Either way, we out of here.